There's an asset out of the US from Liberty.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This has won awards for multiple years of being one of the greatest jingles or stings for years. Would you help us unpack this sound for us?
Yeah, Liberty. I was recently in the States, and it became one of those sounds that everywhere I was, from driving in an Uber to standing at a store when the radio was on, this sound started to come out, and I just wondered. I had no idea what it was, but within the space of an hour, when I was suddenly tuned into it, this liberty, 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 liberty. And we talk about 3. I think they actually have 4, and in some cases, I think it's even more. It's become an in-joke now because of the way they space out their jingle, that people have actually taken on singing even a 5th and a 6th and a 7th liberty for pure, just the joy of taking a brand and extending it. But repetition, repetition, repetition. And in this case, their biggest role, or the biggest aim they had, was about keeping things simple. The guy who created it in the States was a guy called Elias Audio, I think, or something like that. And he's really all about simplicity and about repetition. All the stuff you talk about. And for listeners who don't know, Jono is a firm advocate of the rule of 3. And I know from our work together, it's something you've always pushed and asked to be able to hear with a lot of the briefs we've been able to work on.
Well, it is. And I'm really passionate about memory. And how do you form memory? There's 2 different conversations. One is, how do you actually embed memory is your first challenge. The second is, how do you retrieve memory? So if we're just talking around your son and education system, you're cramming for an exam, I'm reading, I'm studying, and I'm talking to my head reading the text. You go to an exam room, and sometimes you can go in there and it's like, whoa, I've read all this. I've read it like 6 times. Can't recall. Just because you're embedding doesn't mean you can actually retrieve. And this is one of the most powerful things with music, is the retrieval process. So just because it goes in, visually I'm familiar with it. So if I see it again, I'm familiar with it and I have a high propensity to trust it. But music, this is the one thing about music, is the retrieval piece. As soon as you've got that jingle or that bed and you start humming it, that is retrieval. That is what you want from a brand, is to retrieve those memories.
That's right. And Liberty was voted the number 1 jingle in all the Veritonic research that came out.
Yeah.
Was voted way above even nationwide, which has been around for a long time. So it's really proving to be something that is so simple. It's set a benchmark in terms of sonic creation, and we definitely have it on our pinboard as something that we try to emulate some of the takings from it with everything we do.
And this is why the rule of 3 you can't miss. You're never going to mistake that sting for another brand. Tango Energy is a client of ours.
Yeah.
We saw a huge opportunity for audio. They don't have huge budgets, but we want them to hit really hard.
Yeah.
We briefed you in with Tango.
Yeah.
And one of my rules I love is the rule of 3 when it comes to sonic. And it really came from, where are the best sounds or branded sonics? And that was really consistent in the research. So we have the rule of 3. Tango, I'm not sure if you got Tango there, Henry. If you don't, we'll play it post this. But Tango, here's the Tango beat right now.
Tango, Tango, Tango Energy.
So Tango, talk me through. I know the brief for us, you've got it on your board. If it's a brief from us, there's a rule of 3.
Yeah, there's an undivided rule of knowing if it's a Jono conversation. Look, it actually makes the science side of it. It actually really makes sense. You think about it, when you can repeat something 3 times, you're going to have, when I ask someone's name, for example, I'm hopeless at remembering names. So I make an effort to repeat their name. Hi, my name's Jono. And if I'd forget that next time we meet, I might remember it, I might not. But if when I met you, just say, my name is Jono, my name is Jono, my name is Jono, I've got it. And I'll make an effort within that conversation to say, hey, Jono, do you want to do this or do that? So that's conscious, starting to use that idea of 3 times of something that I know it's going to stick. Maybe it's the same with frequency. Maybe there's some, research to show that, the magic number really is, at least to start getting some traction, of 3. I do believe that. And certainly with Tango, it was a real exercise in finding a way. You've got this great, you build the rhythm from the name. Tango, Tango, and there's a shout, Tango Energy. So you're really kind of leaving the energy part for the last part of it, but really working out how are we going to get 3 in there without it becoming one, something that just does not make sense rhythmically. So you've got rhythms to play with, and you think about that. We're going in bars of 4 beats. Tango 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tango, tango, tango energy. So it's fitting into 3 bars and less than 5 seconds, which is that's the dream run.
Well, it's exactly what you want. We've got several other examples later on the show, which are really cool. We got a Mace here.
Yeah.
There's lots of others in there that have just done it as a Sting or a Sonic. But the rule of 3 is definitely where I want to stay there. So in terms of tango, how would you normally go through this process? How would you shape a sound or a signature, an audio signature for a brand? What's your normal process?
Something like tango, you're firstly looking at what industry it's in. So I'm always looking, it's an industry that has to build trust quickly, and it has to, if it's a beauty brand or if it's something else, you're thinking straight away from the brand point of view, what is the emotion that will sit well with their listeners? Not just about trying to create something that's going to be anything. It's not just putting a name into music. You're really thinking about the brand first. It has to be that. So we look at it. We looked at the colors. The colors are quite bright. There's greens and reds, and it looks friendly. The side it even had a little character. There's enough to play with there to kind of inspire you to kind of go, right, what is this brand? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What are the boundaries that it can be? We would have had a discussion about it, you and I. And I do remember you were sort of talking about playfulness and creating something that was positive and upbeat. And so you've got those variables. You then throw it into a pile. We write those down on a board. We'll sit there and we'll try and work out melodies or rhythms first. For clapping hands, exactly like we did. We'd clap our hands. We sit around like school children. There's a lot of falsetto that goes on. There's a lot of singing that happens in a group. And we then start to formulate, we're starting to get that tango can either be sung as tango or tango. You've got enough, consonation or, between the vowels, intonation. Then you start to form a pattern, and especially when you've got to fit 3 in to a certain, the brief is from Undivided. It's got to have that 3 into it. So we're constantly trying to think, how can we do it? We can go at a fast BPM, tango, tango, tango. Or then you're missing out the energy, and the energy feels labored to add at the end.
Yeah.
So then it would be like, okay, what if we drop the energy part because we know it's going to happen? We bring that in at the end, but we get 3 tango, tango, tango energy. Then it's about working out, okay, what's the character in this? The deep voice felt like it was right. The electro kind of music felt that it's kind of got enough to work across a wider demographic. And that's the jingle.
I love it.